o'clock hour. Let's do it. What's up, Matt? You're on with Alan Stiles, Sactown Sports. What you got for us?
Hey, good morning, guys. I'll be quick. I think it's time to start Monk. You guys were talking about who's the dog on our team. We already know it's Monk. He plays the more physicality, heart. He goes, he gets it. I get it. I get the debate why he comes off the bench. I get it. The length, 6-man. We need that shooter off the bench. But right now, what's the point of him coming off the bench if we're playing uphill every game right now and we're playing down? What's the point of that? And I like what I see from Kevin Huerter this season. He's playing better defense. He's doing little things. But to me right now, it seems like offense right now is our biggest issue.
Yeah,
And I just say, I'm not saying start him every game. I'm not saying the rest of the year. But I think it's time to put him in the starting lineup, depending on the team we're playing, the lineups, the matchups. But I think it's time to put in Monk and start him a lot more.
Time to hit that emergency button, Matt says. Thanks for the call, Matt. Great stuff. I will say this. That's the one thing the Kings haven't done yet. And, the bottom line is everybody having conversations, and throughout the season it's been, and last season as well, we need Monk to come off the bench. Why is it Malik Monk's fault that the bench stinks? Why is that Malik Monk's fault? If I'm Malik Monk, I'm thinking, what's that got to do with me?
Last night, didn't he have 14 of the 22 points off the bench?
Why do I have to be the one to sacrifice? Why do I have to come off the bench? Because the bench stinks. Why do I have to sacrifice? So again, I'm not saying that this would be a fix-all at all, but as you look at the different combination of things, Mike Brown, and the reason it doesn't really come up that much anymore is because Mike Brown has gone Nick Saban on us and said, I'm not doing it, so don't ask. So the media, we don't even ask him anymore in pregame, postgame pressers. We don't even ask him about that anymore because it's just an asinine question. But to Matt's point, is it time to have that conversation? If you're looking around and you're hitting the emergency button and you've done everything else, you can't start. You have to start Keegan Murray. Okay, you look around. There's nothing else you can do. You cannot start Trey Lyles. You can't. What else can you do? Keon Ellis, the way he shoots the basketball, and the defense has been an issue as well, and that's part of it. Keon Ellis, I think the team looked better. And maybe the argument would be, okay, well, before we go to Malik, let's see what it looks like with Keon because of how poorly the Kings are defending the three ball. But last night, they shoot 45% from three anyway with Keon starting.
I also like what caller Matt brought up, which is that Kevin Huerter has gone from being a net negative on defense his first year and a half with the Kings to being a net positive this year. The deflections, the steals have been up for him. Defensive rating is up. But at the same time, he's putting up 0-point games on offense.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to kind of take both of those things at the same time and evaluate what you're actually getting from Kevin Huerter. I like that they made the switch in the starting lineup last night. I know we talked about it on the air yesterday, but I don't know exactly where Kevin Huerter fits into that picture at this point.
Yeah, and you have to see Keon a couple more games first. See if this thing can turn around. And then I would say, all right, Malik, because the bench does stink and you do need bench scoring. So the hope is that you get Keon, who's been shooting the basketball very well, and you get his defense. And look, the Thunder, they're one of the best teams in the league. So let's see what it looks like. No clue if Keon's going to start again, but let's see what it looks like against the Timberwolves tomorrow night. And if it still doesn't look any better, then I think you start to play with the idea of Malik Monk because that's really what we haven't seen. We haven't seen because Malik got injured. So, and Kevin Huerter got injured. So we haven't really seen a full however many games of Keon Ellis starting, Kevin Huerter off the bench, Malik Monk off the bench. We saw that last night against one of the best teams in the league who is in the conversation to win the whole thing. So let's see and I get it, that's where the Kings are trying to get to, but let's see what this looks like against the Timberwolves, who are no slouch, but they've struggled a little bit themselves. Let's see what happens against them the next couple games, and then let's react from there. And Jay on the SAC chat, I don't believe that's Jay Johnson, but Jay on the SAC chat is saying OKC was not even fully healthy. You're right. They were missing Chet Holmgren. They were missing Alex Caruso. Does this game say more about OKC or more about the Kings? I think you could ask 10 people and get 10 different answers.
We talked about it yesterday. Imagine being OKC, who going into yesterday was 12-14, now 12-4, now 13-4.
Mm-hmm.
Best record in the Western Conference. And it's actually been a disappointment so far this year. Like, they expect to be better than where they are, and reasonably should expect to be better than where they are, which is first place in the Western Conference. It's a really, really good team and a really great place to be in for them.
The good thing, and I was listening to Kyle Draper yesterday on my way home, and he always does a good job of being optimistic. The good thing is, if you do look at, you could have taken advantage, and I know Carmichael Davis talked about how easy the schedule was, and this is true, but you can't cry about spilled milk. It is what it is. Moving forward, the good thing is that there are opportunities. You look at the Western Conference and the teams that are ahead of the Kings and who you believe in. The Warriors are 12. We know who the Thunder are. That was a team everybody knew would be at the top. Everybody else, we really had no clue. The Warriors are starting to cool off a little bit. We'll see if they are fool's gold or not as they drop 2. They blew a 17-point lead against the Spurs a couple nights ago. Then they blow an 18-point lead against the Nets last night. So they're now 12-5. They've been a surprise. The Houston Rockets are 12-6. Sure, they're respectable.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
I don't know what to do with them.
Like, cool.
Yeah, cool. And so you have the Thunder is who we actually believe. I don't necessarily believe the Warriors yet. I don't believe the Thunder or the Rockets, excuse me, they're 12-6. I definitely don't believe the Lakers. They're 10-6. The Memphis Grizzlies are 11-7. Ja is in and out. I don't believe in them.
I don't know. I think they're really good.
I think they'll be in the playoffs, but I don't know where.
I think they'll be top 5 in the West, I think.
The Clippers, no clue when they're going to get Kawhi back, so they're going to stay in that 6 to 10 range. The Phoenix Suns got to get healthy. You know I'm not high on the Denver Nuggets. The Dallas Mavericks, they could have been a flash in the pan last season. I believe I read something going into this week. Russell Westbrook had a better 3-point percentage than Klay Thompson. That's what I read going into this basketball week. And then you have the Spurs at 9-8 and the Timberwolves at 8-8. So again, we hoped that the Kings, and they're not done, right? Of course, they're 5.5 games back of first place, which is kind of insane. But you can still get to anywhere that 4 seed range. You got to get hot, of course, and hope these other teams don't get hot. It's all in front of them, and we move from there. So you can turn it around. It's just a matter of whether anybody believes that you can turn it around. Oh, here we go. Here we go from the 916. Giannis, you got to give up Keegan, Herter, and Carter plus picks be available. Aside from Fox and DeMar, if a star is available, it's time to consider going for a big splash trade. Giannis, you got to make that. I still don't think that money works, 916.
Yeah, they also don't have the best offer either. I can name 3 teams right now that have a better offer.
Yeah, but we'll play the game. Keegan, Herter, Carter plus picks. And now like I said, the problem there, 916, and I respect the hustle. The problem there is the money, not to get too in the weeds. But the problem there is Keegan and Kevin Herter aren't making enough money. That would be the issue there. And like we always joke, you'd probably need to give up as many picks as the first rights to Rain Fox. That's what you're giving up. De'Aaron's son, he'd be going to the Bucks as well. So I respect the hustle. But there's some logistics. But if you want to at least have a high-level conversation about the splash, here's the problem. You have other conversations throughout the league as far as everybody feeling like it's early. Paul George is saying, mark my words, on one of his 18 podcasts, the Sixers are going to turn it around. So I think right now, most teams are internally saying, because you got to think about it like this. Looking for a trade right now is admitting that you tricked off the offseason. It's admitting that you messed up. It's being self-aware enough to say, we thought something was going to work and we didn't. So any team, and that's not just a Monty McNair thing, that's anybody that's struggling. So all these GMs are kind of just playing, chicken right now to say, well, I'm not going to admit I was wrong. Well, I'm not going to admit I was wrong. So you have the Bucks GM not wanting to admit that. The Sixers GM not wanting to admit that. Monty McNair not wanting to admit that. So right now it's a game of chicken where it's, all right, well, who's going to be the first one to say, yeah, I bleeped up this offseason. Nobody wants to do that.
I've got good news for our texter from the 916. If we also include Malik Monk into this deal, the money works.
Yeah, there's no way. So Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, we're really doing this. This is what happens when you drop 4, Kings. This is your fault.
Let me just say, I don't want to do this.
But let's do the exercise.
Forced against my will to pull up Trade Machine.
First of all, that spacing would be basuda. That spacing would be trash.
You mean De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis,
DeMar DeRozan, and
Giannis, and Trey Lyles?
That's terrible. That is terrible. So Keegan, Kevin, Malik,
and Devin Carter,
and picks for Giannis. That's probably the most realistic deal, to be honest, but I'm not doing it. I'm not touching that. I just don't think it's a great fit. I'm not touching that. All right. What we are going to get into is this team meeting conversation, but we still have sound as well from Mike Brown on the team facing adversity.